The city of Pol, it is said that the most distant and farthest city known in the world was a place so far north, but so very far north, indeed so unbelievably far north, that anyone entering it could only leave by traveling south. In fact, it lay so perfectly north that, when standing in the central square, every possible direction led southward. It was a tedious city, owing to the perpetual cold. The only place that usually possessed any animation whatsoever was the Temple of the Three Wise Men, identical to all other temples found throughout the world. A somewhat approximate replica of the original location where the three were said to have experienced their epiphany, differing only in the fact that it had been constructed on a larger scale in order to fit more people inside. Even then, it was lively only on Saturday afternoons during the daytime, which lasted 6 months, and even more lively during the night, which lasted the other 6 months, when there was nothing whatsoever to do except drink the product of fermented barley from fused silica vessels, to which someone had inexplicably given the name mugs, for reasons nobody truly understood, accompanied by lupins while refraining from thought. Perhaps for this reason, because the inhabitants spent much of the year not thinking, the city was absolutely radical in its philosophical foundations. There one did not merely avoid thinking, one also avoided reasoning, meditating, reflecting, or cogitating. Despite this, they decided to adopt democracy as their form of government. However, they quickly discovered that the governance of the city was not particularly successful, mainly because nothing was ever decided, absolutely nothing. Consequently, nothing was ever done. The city came remarkably close to collapse, but being an important location, because it was the northernmost place in existence, from which all journeys southward necessarily began, the city received commissions for the use of the cardinal point itself. Every time someone searched for the polar star in the sky, an official from the Northern MENist Society would appear and charge a fee. Every time somebody drew a compass, rose upon a map, there appeared the representative of the NMS. And through such arrangements, the city prospered greatly, despite the fact that nothing whatsoever was accomplished there, nor was any decision ever made. Even so, the reigning chaos, the most perfect democratic anarchy imaginable, rendered the already tedious lives of the inhabitants increasingly unbearable in this city so far north that absolutely everything lay south of it. This city, which possessed the magnificently original name of Pol, eventually received assistance from the allies of the radicals, namely the absolutists, who initially arrived merely to solve certain problems, but ended up being elected and forming a governing elite that imposed order upon the chaos, thus allowing the radicals to continue not thinking in peace. Despite this, the radicals hated the absolutists, since they were not true followers of the sole commandment. Yet even within this governing elite, differing visions emerged concerning how the city should be governed, leading to the appearance of several factions competing against one another in elections and forming a parliament. The most voted faction elected a president of parliament who, in turn, appointed secretaries responsible for specific matters within the city. For example, the secretary of barley fermentation imports, the secretary of lupin affairs, the secretary of snow removal. It was during this political climate that Matatturru, son of Matatturru, great king of Lupulonia and indirectly responsible for the naming of the Baghdad batteries, arrived in Pol carrying a shipment of batteries which had by this time become immensely popular due to the extraordinary sensation they produced upon the tongue when one drank orange or lemon juice while using them. His objective was both to spread further the great works of Uruk the Small and to earn a few coins in the process. Since in those northern regions, the price of fermented barley beverages was exorbitant and lupins practically unobtainable. Forever exalted be the three wise men. May you never lack lupins, nor the product of fermented barley, declared Matatturru, his clear resonant voice shattering the almost religious silence of the Temple of the Three Wise Men. Indeed, not merely breaking it, but causing it to seem as though silence itself had fallen to the ground and shattered into 1,000 frozen fragments, as if silence within that space had become as frozen as the night outside, which had already endured for 4 long months. The eyes that turned toward him, pale blue and cold within angular faces, regarded him simultaneously with suspicion and contempt towards someone who clearly did not belong to those lands. And may your fused silica vessels forever remain full, growled the man standing nearest him, returning the ancient greeting in a dry and unfriendly manner. Suddenly, everyone within the temple moved toward him, surrounding him with hard and icy expressions, leaving only the doorway behind him as an avenue of escape toward the frozen city outside. Never before had Matatturru been received in such a fashion anywhere in the world. He began suspecting that traveling to Pole might not have been such an excellent idea after all, despite how appealing it had seemed while suffocating beneath the heat of Ashtram at the edge of the burning Shamar Desert, a place so hot, but so extraordinarily hot, that one could fry an egg in the shade. A place so hot that when a man urinated, the liquid evaporated before reaching the ground. A place so hot that to drink water from the rare wells, one had to descend into the wells themselves, because any bucket lowered from above would evaporate before returning to the surface. So hot that to boil water for coffee after dinner, one merely needed to lift a stone and place a kettle beneath it for 10 minutes. And so desolate, but truly so desolate, that it contained not even sand, only scorching rocks upon which absolutely nothing grew. Leaving such a place in search of somewhere cooler had seemed an excellent idea, though even before arriving in Pole, he had begun questioning that decision. And now, surrounded by these immense and unfriendly giants, dangerous thoughts nearly entered his mind. Thanks be to the 3 wise men that they did not. Are you one of the absolutists? Matatturru sensed genuine hostility toward the absolutists. He reflected for a brief moment and replied, "But of course not. My true faith lies with the sole commandment from which no man should ever deviate. Thou shalt not think." Immediately the closed faces broke into broad smiles. The entire atmosphere transformed instantly. Fermented barley beverages in mugs, whose name Matatturru found peculiar, since it had never occurred to him to call them anything other than fused silica vessels, which was only natural given that he did not think, were brought to him. They explained that a foreign traveler who had once passed through the city had referred to the fused silica vessels as mugs, and everyone had found the term vastly more practical than fused silica vessels. Matatturru liked the word immensely. He was received like a brother returning from distant lands to join the family that had long awaited him. They brought him lupins and paper napkins. They invited him to sit among them and tell stories of distant lands, since they had grown tired of hearing always the same stories, and could no longer endure the tale of Olgaf the Hairy and his pet bear, and they celebrated as they had not celebrated in a very long time. Much later, Matatturru sat speaking with Olgaf the Hairy after hearing the story of the pet bear approximately twice, when the latter suddenly said, with genuine joy in his eyes, "I am truly happy that you are a true believer. We hate the absolutists." Matatturru knew tensions existed, but they were allies. Such resentment was unusual. But why, brother? Because they govern us, and they steal most of what costs us so dearly to earn, the Pole usage tax. Indeed. But are they truly numerous enough to dominate you in such a way? No, there are only a handful of them. Then why do you not revolt? And why would we? After all, we live in a democracy. A democracy? But did you not just tell me they are few in number? They are indeed. Then who votes for them? We do. Who else? But that means you could replace them whenever you wished. Olgaf stared at him in utter astonishment. After several seconds, he finally answered, "I did not understand." If it is a democracy, and if you are the ones voting, then why elect them? Because if we fail to elect them, we may end up electing someone even worse. Then why hate them if you yourselves grant them power? Runlef the bison, so named because he was as large as one, had been listening from the neighboring table. He slowly placed his mug down and stared directly at Matatturru. "Brother, what you are doing, these questions?" He rose and leaned over Matatturru, who shrank nervously into his chair. "Could you perhaps be an absolutist spy? Might you be reasoning?" Other eyes now turned suspiciously toward him. "By the three wise men, do you accuse me of such an act that I dare not even pronounce the word? Do you question my honor? By the curse of the great eye upon the wall of Styx, such a thing is not so. Then why the questions? I am a foreigner. I merely wish to understand local customs. I would never knowingly offend any of my brothers." The explanation seemed reasonable. The atmosphere calmed. Later, Matatturru discovered that lemons did not exist in Pol, and unable therefore to demonstrate the Baghdad batteries properly, eventually departed toward warmer lands.